Join us on Tuesday each month for an interactive workshop led by one of GrowthCraft's seasoned expert advisors. Each session focuses on a specific topic tailored to the real-world needs of startup founders. From landing your first customer to navigating the journey from lab to launch, these workshops are packed with actionable strategies and deep insights drawn directly from the presenting advisor's area of expertise. Join our expert workshop series today by signing up for GrowthCraft membership at growthcraft.org/membership. We look forward to seeing you there. Hello, my name is Hassan Sorrells. This is Tom Living.
Welcome back, everyone.
And you are listening to the GrowthCraft podcast. The GrowthCraft podcast was designed with and is designed with the startup founder in mind. This podcast is committed to helping you grow your connections to our GrowthCraft advisors, increasing your overall engagement with the GrowthCraft community, and of course, to growing your knowledge about all of the benefits that the GrowthCraft startup community can provide. We do this by interviewing founders, advisors, and others about their project, their service, their process, and of course, their contributions to the GrowthCraft community. We can't wait to bring you along with us on our journey today. Now, here on the podcast, as I already said, we do interview startup founders, advisors, and others about their experiences with GrowthCraft and about their journey and about their process. And today, I'd like to welcome to the podcast, Arun Singh. How are you doing today, Arun?
I'm doing really well. It's been pretty busy, a lot of meetings. I'm having more and more meetings that happen with more and more people, and they get more and more long, which is like, it's exciting though, because to be in a virtual room with just so many really intelligent people, and it's just like, somehow I'm in charge. It's just like, whoa, how did this happen? But, I trust them and they trust me, so here we are.
So there we go. Well, that'll give us an awesome opportunity to talk about how you got in those rooms and what your project is. But for our listeners today, let's get started off with something very basic. What is it that you do exactly?
Yes, I'm the CEO and founder of FlexiSpin. We are a life sciences tools biotech company, a very new startup incorporated just about a month ago with the help of GrowthCraft, of course. And we are in the field of tissue dissociation. So we are trying to take complex tissues in the body and break them down in a gentle manner so that you get high quality single cells to analyze deeply, and the single cells are undamaged. Right now, what happens is as you break down the connections between the cells, you break the cells. And so when you analyze the cells, you're not looking at the cells in the body, you're looking at cells that were kind of beaten over the head with a bat. And our goal is to find a way to do that very gently. So when you analyze your cells down the road, you are indeed looking at cells that represent what they were doing in the body.
That is an awful lot of responsibility there for you, Arun. If you can get this done, it seems like a very large, major task. So what tell us a little bit about what prompted this? Where did this idea of yours come from, and why was this important to you, to take on this kind of what I can only assume is a massive undertaking?
Yeah, and it's when I got into this, I knew it'd be, I knew it would be big, but I didn't understand it. Except now that as things are progressing, I'm like, okay, this is this is what I bit off, and not more than I could chew, but it's like now I'm feeling like, okay, I get it now. I get why founders are like, what the hell is happening? That's what's happening to me now. And I've had this idea for actually since my PhD. My PhD, I worked in tissue dissociation, which was breaking these complex tissues into single cells. And I knew from day one just what I was doing, that this is it was a sin. There's no way that you put the tissue in a little vial, you pipe it up and down, and oh, hey, Krista, my PI, how do I know if it's done? Oh, well, it's, it's simple, Arun. You just you look at it and you'd want as few big chunks floating around as possible, but no big chunks means you kill all your cells. So you just go for it. And okay, this is, this seems very non-ideal. And like this way, like we then have to analyze the cells after this. We're going to use this data. Like, are you sure? We just beat the crap out of these cells, and it's all. I was a very underfunded lab, and so we had to do it the really cheap and dirty way, which is more an art than a science. And I could even in my own inconsistencies, it's just like, wow, this is like I cannot believe this is my project, but here we are. And in my postdoc, I also was in tissue association. I got to use the gold standard, which was it's automated. It was very nice, but it still killed a bunch of my cells. I just didn't have to watch while it was happening, and I didn't have to. It was it was inconsistently consistent, as opposed to just inconsistently inconsistent. And so I've had this idea now for a while. Just I knew this was something a huge pain point that I wanted to solve for a while, and I had in the back of my head. My original plan was to go into industry, startup hop until I gained enough experience to then kind of make something to solve this problem. And I got into industry. After a year and a half, I got laid off from my position at the startup. And as I was looking around for new jobs, I was doing a lot of networking and ran into Vitaly, one of the advisors here at GrowthCraft, and told him a little bit how I wanted to make a startup. I have this idea, but literally it's just an idea and a pain point. He's like, Arun, just like I have we have GrowthCraft, this network, just like he's like, put her together a rudimentary pitch deck and just like let's go. Just go for it. And then I did, and I look back at my first pitch deck now, and I'm like, I cannot believe, let's not show that to anybody. Like, I cannot believe Vitaly was like,
No, you should show that to everybody to show them the difference.
yeah, no, that's yeah, exactly. But it's just, I'm like, I cannot believe that. Like, I thought this was like, I mean, I knew it wasn't like great, but it's like, this is how it works. But so since Vitaly, he's like, this seems a great idea. Got me into GrowthCraft. I started meeting with advisors. And just like everything just like really, really took off and getting just so much support and encouragement and just really, like, where do I go next? Like, just like, here, try this, try that. They're just like telling me actions that I can take. And I take the actions and like progress happens. And here we are.
So I got to admit, when we first talked, when you first joined GrowthCraft, and I think I actually told you this, I'm a lowly humanities major. And so the kinds of things that you're talking about with beating up of cells and analyzing them, turning complex tissues into single cells, I struggled to get through, get a D in chemistry. Okay, I'm not a high-end science guy, right? I can do the basics. I understand E equals MC square, those kinds of things, right? But the high-end things, the area where you're operating on, I'm not there. And so the question that I'm going to ask for all the folks that aren't there who are listening to this going, I don't know what he's even talking about. Describe for us who is the ideal user, who's the ideal consumer, who's your target market for this process, for this product that you're proposing.
Yeah, so the target market is essentially most of this actually works out really well. I did actually working with Mango, my co-founder, and also GrowthCraft advisor. He's like, we should get some customer profiles and customer journey profiles out there. I'm like, what's a customer journey profile? I haven't heard of this. And he gave me a template, and he's like, here you go. And so I used ChatGPT's help and everything, and just like now we have customer profiles. And so essentially, our market is scientists and biotech in general. Just like anytime you just need to. It's kind of tricky because it's like it's PIs, it's academics, it's CROs. It's a lot big pharma, it's smaller pharma, it's more specialized things. Just there's a whole bunch because, like anytime you need to do some sort of single cell analysis, you need single cells, and you don't find single cells in the body. Like think about a tumor, you're not single cells, you're bugs in a bug's nest. Think about skeletal muscle, that's all these cells like intertwined with each other. Think about just like any other tissue, you don't get single cells. So everyone who wants to look at a single cell on this level can use this product. And right now there's a whole bunch on the market. But they're terrible, they're pain points, they feel bad, and they kill a lot of your cells. And so I'm hoping like everyone I talk to is like who does this kind of stuff. I've gotten really good reception. I already have 6 or 7 potential customers that are just like telling me as soon as you figure this out, like I'm sick and tired of all this nonsense. So it's a lot of I feel like there's a very big market for it in theory, but once again, we'll see what happens.
So Arun, you mentioned that there's other solutions out there on the market, that like there's already solutions out there on the market, but why are you thinking yours is going to be better, or is it already better? I'm not sure where you are in the development phase here, but so how? Like what is making them so excited? Like what is going to be so much better about what you're doing than what's out there already?
Yeah, so it's really interesting because right now there's essentially four axes of just like tissue association. There's how much you damage how gentle you are, like how many cells do you kill? There's how much do you disturb the cell? Maybe the cell's not dead, but you beat it up, just like it's stressed out now. It's not a cancer cell in the body. It's a cancer cell that was hit with a baseball bat. So now it's just like trying to defend itself. You have how long, how fast can you do it? Like how long does association take? And, can you scale it up? How high throughput can you get? Right now, no product can do all four. Every product is compromising on something, and nobody has high throughput. I think the max is 24 right now, and even that is like a little suspect. So there's just a bunch of ways to improve this. And I just think the technology that we have, it's still in development. So we don't have proof that it's better yet. But it's very innovative, and I think just like it's based in very cool, very high tech science, and ultimately it's just like it has the possibility to be more gentle and more high throughput and more scalable and just like kill less cells. So I think it's kind of hard because we haven't actually done the experiments yet, and this is all very theoretical. But it does really, it's just it sounds bad. It's kind of a low bar, I kind of like feels weird to say, but just like there's a lot and there's real pain in this. Like every time you go to like you're going to kill half yourself, and you're going to diminish the data that you're getting, but you have no choice because there's no other solutions. So there's a whole bunch of pain in this, and just like this, the bar is relatively low, and I think this is a very cool, innovative solution that's not been tried before, and everyone is giving me great encouragement, and it's definitely enough for me to keep pushing.
You mentioned that it's still theoretical. How do you have any kind of estimate or clue as to how far away you are from actually testing this out, like and actually producing the increased cell capacity?
Yeah, I'm hoping it'll be maybe by the end of this year, early next year. We're currently just like getting our ducks in a row to submit an SBIR. Also working with Neil, a GrowthCraft advisor, and that's been hugely helpful. And it's really, and the nice thing is like once we have the SBIR business plan, budget, etc., like that's the same due diligence you need to actually raise funding. So it's kind of like two in one: do the SBIR, learn and build the company up, and then submit the SBIR. And while we're at it too, we can then start fundraising, and then we'll have everything done. We'll know how much money we need, who we're going to buy from, where the experiments planned, what lab spaces are we looking at, etc. And so hopefully once we have the SBIR done, the rest should just fall into place. So I'm hoping late this year, early next year should be the first experiments.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, as you're talking, I keep hearing or I keep thinking that this is a niche solution to a major problem, right? And so, one of the phrases or one of the ideas that tends to float around in entrepreneurship is there's riches in the niches, right? The smaller you can go, the more money there is, right? Which is sort of counterintuitive from how people naturally think about business or about making money or about a product or a service, right? And I think you mentioned pharmaceutical companies might have an interest in this. What are some of the potential applications once we're no longer, or maybe not potential applications, maybe the way to frame the question is this way: how beneficial would your solution be if we're not beating cancer cells with a baseball bat? If we're not doing that, right? If we're doing the opposite of that, what are the potential outcomes that could be beneficial for all of us who don't know anything about this technology but benefit from the end use of it out here in the world? What are some potential benefits?
Yeah, so if you think about a cancer, I like to think, so we're looking at cancer. So there's a technique called single cell analysis, which is it's multiple techniques, but essentially what it does is it destroys the cell. The input is a cell. It destroys the cell, but you get a 3D blueprint of the cell. This 3D blueprint includes what the walls are made of, what are the specific bricks made of, where are the specific bricks, what are the rooms, what are in the rooms, where are the chests, what are locked in the chests. It's truly 3D blueprint of the cancer cell. And if you think about it, there are let's say there's a certain brick in cancer cells that's very, very delicate. It's very just like it's not robust, and so a little shaking destroys it. So if you take a cancer cell and you beat it with a baseball bat and then you go sequence it, you're kind of like looking at the blueprint of a bombed out building. So it's very possible that your fragile brick that's cancer specific is destroyed. So it's not included in the blueprint. You have a hole and you don't know what was there. But if you're gentle with it and you can, and you have a healthy cancer cell and do single cell analysis, you get a 3D blueprint, you can now identify these very delicate bricks that are in cancer cells and versus and maybe they're not in non-cancer cells. And then you can design a specific drug to target that specific brick. And now you have a cancer targeting specific drug, but you would never have known this was even possible because you could never find these bricks with the more harsh methods.
Kind of like the way you just said that. That was actually much more clear.
I've been
I'm
I've
kind
been
of
trying very hard to like come up with these good ways to explain these things. Just luckily,
yeah.
my partner is not in science, and when I use jargon, she's like, Arun, you better not, like, it's like that does not make them. These words don't mean to me, so like do better. And
Yeah,
so I've learned to do better and explain in non-scientific manners.
I love the idea of the blueprint in a building analogy, right? Because again, so if you're trying to map cells, you think of that as the blueprint on a building, right? And now if you can isolate a particular cell and fix it, that's like having a particular brick in the building that you need to fix. So like that analogy actually works really well. And I'm sure that you can get it even more succinct and make it like match for match down the list. But
Mhm.
we don't have time for that today, which is so let's turn the corner just a little bit and talk a little. I know you've mentioned GrowthCraft and your involvement with GrowthCraft probably more than any other interview so far that we've had on the podcast, without us asking,
Uh-huh.
So everybody talks about GrowthCraft because we specifically asked them, what they like and what they don't like. You've mentioned several components of GrowthCraft that you have yourself kind of tapped into. So I'm going to ask the question of you a little bit differently. I'm going to ask you in a little bit more broad spectrum of what you find the most helpful in GrowthCraft and why do you see yourself staying with GrowthCraft long term?
Yeah, absolutely. The thing that's most helpful for me in GrowthCraft is just access to advisors and mentors and just like support and encouragement. Like truly like being a founder, hey, you're building the plane while flying it. There's no other way to put it. Like truly it's just like I don't know what I'm doing, but here we go. There's no point, but there's no other path going forward. And especially just I realized how little I knew. Just like now I know I knew nothing, but like now that I've learned things, I know that I knew even less than I thought I knew. And like I even have more to learn, which is very it's all very humbling, but really it just been access to the mentor. Like I'm very self-motivated. I'm very good at just like doing my own thing. Just like you give me something, give me a task I have to do, I can do it. But I just, as a new founder, excuse me, like I don't have direction. I don't know what the process is of like which ducks in our do I get first, like product development, just like getting funding, product development, just like when do I need a website? Do I need that sooner? Do I need that later? Like all these little questions. And what GrowthCraft has been so helpful for me is like I've been able to talk with all the advisors, just like when should I do this? Should I watch out for this? Like even when I met with you first, it's just like, I'm still months away, like half a year away from a product at least. But I wanna know what I should be considering now as I'm building the company before everything just like, I don't want to have to play catch up. Really, just like catch up is very bad. Our number one goal is to not play catch up. And so GrowthCraft is really amazing for that, just with access to all the advisors and just they're like you're in it for the love of the game. Like truly just like there's everyone, all the advisors, they have so much passion. And the other thing that's been so helpful is like really for my pitch deck and my story. Because even though I'm biotech, just like all the advisors, just everyone has a different like Vitalis comes at it from like a VC perspective, just like then everyone comes from a little different perspective. And so even though it's a biotech, even though I'm in biotech, I give my pitch to both. I give my pitch to I think almost every growth advisor at this point, some multiple times. And like it's really helped me to just everyone's little feedback over time. It just helped me to form the story into something that's really coherent, very, like demonstrates of pain points. I can still show my personality and all these things. So just really having access to all these advisors and everyone is so supportive and encouraging. That's been like the biggest help for me in GrowthCraft so far. And just really, it gives me the motivation to keep going, especially like as I watch myself get better. And the advisors are like, like this revision, like, you gave me your pitch, like a month ago, like this is so much better. Just like you've really just like you've taken so much advice and feedback and everything. Just keep going. Just that kind of encouragement is really helpful for me, especially as I'm building the plane while flying it. And truly, I'm like, don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I don't think any of us lack positivity. Hey, son, what do you think?
No, I would say we are ruthlessly effervescent in our positivity, differing degrees, of course, but yeah, no, we are definitely overwhelmingly positive, and we're very happy to have you as part of our GrowthCraft community. Well, we're rounding the corner here. We've only got a couple more minutes, so final question for you. What would you like to promote today, if anything? Are you planning on being interviewed anywhere? Are you presenting? Are you going to any conferences? Are you speaking anywhere? Obviously, you're being interviewed here. Do you have anything coming up? Do you have a website that we can go and take a look at your product? Tell us where we can get a hold of you.
Yeah, I mean that's a good question. I don't like. It sounds kind of funny. I don't know if I have like much to promote now. Honestly, if anything, I just want to promote GrowthCraft. Like the other thing too is I've gone to so many mixer events, like industry make everything. I've met a lot of other scientist founders. People are kind of clueless. Like I don't like it's just like I feel kind of bad saying it, but just like really just as having all this GrowthCraft help is just like I feel I'm so much further ahead than these people. And then like I talk about GrowthCraft, they're like their eyes perk up and like, oh, tell me the details, and I tell them, but like truly like like if anyone is just like thinking about it, or like even I came with literally an idea, like it was just an idea. I had expertise in an idea, and the funny thing is that I'm not even going to be like doing the science anymore. Like Mango will be taking care of all the science. I'll be doing CEO things, which is even better. But I had this idea for 10 years that like I would do the science in this, and they're like, oh no, like what was I thinking? Like I don't even want to do the science in this. Like that's crazy. That is so far outside of what I know, that I'd rather just like find. So literally I just came with an idea, and then everybody just kind of nurtured me and helped me through it. And I feel like there's so many scientist co-founders, or like scientists out there, even scientist co-founders, that are like kind of lost or just don't know which way to go. And just like seriously, just access to all the mentors is so helpful, all the different perspectives, and just really just like you still make your own choices, but getting everybody's input and just learning directions, which way to go, like what's the proper order of things to do, order of operations, like what's most efficient. Like I see these are things that a lot of people, and even just like how to sell your story. Like I've talked with some scientists founders that have amazing ideas, and it's just like I had to pull their teeth out to understand what the company was doing. And it's just like this is crazy, like you should be telling me my pitch. I should not be telling you your pitch after 15 minutes of talking with you. So really, I do like I couldn't recommend GrowthCraft highly enough, and I'm super excited for the whole journey with it.
Well, I think that's an awesome place for us to kind of park the plane and land the plane. I want to thank you, Arun, for coming on to the GrowthCraft podcast today. And with that, well, we're out.
Thank you very much.